Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, folks. Welcome to M1 Racing and our live coverage of round 11. Sorry, round 12, I should say. How could I get that wrong straight out of the gate? The grand finale of season 2 of the G-Force Racing Elite League. After 11 fantastic rounds of racing, it all comes down to this here in Abu Dhabi to close out season 2. My name is Mark. If you've been with us before, thanks ever so much for coming back to join us here this week. And I'm going to be your host for the next hour or so. And if you're new to M1 Racing, well, you've joined us an absolutely cracking time. We have got a real nail-biter of a finale for you to decide the outcome of Season 2. I'm delighted to welcome back Pete, who's with me as always in the commentary box here, keeping an eye on things behind the scenes. Watching all those things on track that I can't bring you live on the stream and pointing us in the right direction if we get lost. We also have got Rio with us back again. Rio, do you remember being here? We were just saying off air. It was just before Christmas last time we are here, and we are back with a really exciting race. You've got to be looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I'm always looking forward to Abu Dhabi because might not seem like it, but it does bring some good action because people be fighting for specific championship positions and stuff like that.
It is not been decided yet, and I've got Toby with us as well, who's joined us in the commentary box for the last few weeks. They enjoyed it so much they've stuck around after having stood in for Rio for a few weeks. Toby, welcome back. You excited for this one as well?
Yeah, definitely. Very tight up the top in both, well, I'm going to say drivers, less so in the constructors, but P2 and 3 are still up for grabs, I think, in the constructors.
And we're going to take a look at that. We've got some time to talk here today, folks, because we're doing a full qualification session here with G-Force Racing. So we'll get Q1, Q2 and Q3 to decide the starting order for this final race of the season. Those are good at maths, and I know David T is very good at maths. He is in the Twitch chat with us this week, and got to say a big thank you to David T for all his support over this last season with his statistics that we're regularly using on the stream now. And actually we're going to have a little stats corner during qualification here today, and we're going to quiz my fellow buddies here in the commentary box on some key stats from the league. So David won't be able to take part in that, but he's going to correct us if I get any of it wrong as we talk. But welcome, David T. We've also got in the chat Obo, and Obo would normally be out there racing for Alfa Romeo and has been going great guns this season for Alfa Romeo, supporting their teammate M. Dorling. But unfortunately for us, Obo is not going to be racing, but for a very good reason. Obo's had a new addition to the Obo family and is taking time out with that said family, and that's absolutely the right thing to do. But they are joining us here on M1 Racing to watch this grand finale because they will want to see how M. Dorling does, because there's still stuff at stake here for Alfa Romeo. So huge congratulations to the Obo family, and I'm sure baby Obo will be behind the wheel of an F1 car in the not too distant future. Perhaps we can expect to see them in season 4, see how the training goes. But welcome to Obo in the chat here today. I did also want to say a big thank you to anyone who came and joined us on Sunday for the Ironman, where Rio, Toby and myself attempted to survive Zandvoort. I was the only one who did, albeit it was in last place, but it was a lot of fun. If you want to come and join us for the next one, it will be, I think, over the Easter weekend, possibly on the Sunday or around that time. Keep an eye on the channel and we'll let you know when that is happening. We're, as you can tell, not really focusing too much on the qualifying times here because it really doesn't matter. Only 15 drivers can go through to Q2 of qualifying, and we've only got 13 out there, so they're all guaranteed to get through qualification here. So these drivers will just be out checking out the circuit before they go for it into Q2. That's giving us a chance to talk a little bit about the championship as we go into this final race. If you want to get involved with us here on M1 Racing during today's race, you can. You'll need to follow us on Twitch and then sign up with a verified email, and then you'll be able to use the chat box and some of our new emotes that we have on the channel. So do say hi in the chat. And we've got Willando in the Twitch chat as well. Welcome to M1 Racing. Good to have you here. We've got Charlie Ark deciding to set a fastest lap on a set of intermediate tyres. We will see this in Q1, just testing out the track, but expect much faster times as we get into the race. All right, let us take a look, first of all, at the results from Las Vegas. So I'm just bringing it up on screen for you now, folks. So this really blew the doors off the championship. M1 Righty was 27 points behind SHS Predestinato going into round 11 in Las Vegas. But this tells the story. M1 Righty came home with the fastest lap in first place, getting maximum 26 points. And SHS Predestinato were really having some major difficulties last week in Vegas, finishing down there in 8th. That has closed up the gap to just 5 points going into the final race of the season. And we'll talk about all the various different permutations of that in just a moment. But a special shout out to Emeleki getting another podium and continuing their good run of recent form for them and for Aston Martin coming home in second place. And then Charlie Ark on their debut with G-Force Racing coming home in third. They had a brilliant battle with Emeleki all throughout the race last week, and that's a great way to announce yourself to the league. Mac T came home in fourth for Ferrari. M. Dorling came home in fifth. SS7 in sixth, lost there in seventh, having recovered quite well from starting reasonably well down. And then our championship leader, SHS Predestinato, in eighth. Obo there in 8th, so Alfa Romeo getting 2 drivers in the scoring points for the last race, and Spicy picking up the very last point. We had Nico Hulkenberg and NRG Panzerotto finishing 11th and 12th, and then our 3 DNFs, Savares, Sancho Killer and Desaves. Desaves sadly leaving us on the very first lap in between turns 4 and 5, so not a great race for Mercedes there. Rio, do you remember Vegas from last week? It was a perfect drive from M1, but disastrous for Predestinato, and it's wide open now for the winner of this season too.
Yep, I remember that very well. It just all went wrong for Predestinato, and M1 was celebrating that after. But yeah, he's sort of injured closer to the victory of season 2, and we'll all be cheering him on. But yeah, Predestinato might be under quite a lot of pressure tonight, and hopefully he can succeed.
Well, we will see. So will SHS Predestinato retain their crown from season 1, or is M1 Righty going to steal it from them? Toby, do you think M1's going to be able to overhaul those remaining 5 points to SHS Predestinato, or do you think SHS is just about going to hold on?
It's 50-50. It could go either way. It depends on who's stronger on this track or has the better strategy, because they're both maybe on a VC as well, being the same team.
Well, there'll be definitely no team orders at play today. We've seen that, and we did see that in the last race. The drivers not really giving each other a slipstream down the straight in Vegas. As Pete saying in my ear, they were the only team that didn't. So it's all to play for, and I think we'll know it'll be a clean race between these two. They've shown respect to each other throughout the whole season, but this is taking it right to the wire. Last season, SHS pretty much had the championship nailed on by the time we got to Abu Dhabi. They have not had it their own way, and I think Rio, that's really shown from the finishing positions. M1's won 5 races of the 5 feature races. SHS has only won the 4, and I think we've got to recognise that M1 actually didn't turn up for 2 rounds either. So they've left it to the last minute, and if SHS had a better day in Vegas, they would probably be feeling a bit more comfortable now. But you know, if M1 does go ahead, go ahead and win this, they probably deserve it, don't they?
Yeah, because coming back, leaving for 2 races and then coming back, you've got and you're like the second time in the championship. You've got to try everything, to get ahead and I should say get closer to winning the championship, because you've been away for quite some time, which is exactly what he's done. And it's all done in favor of him because of what happened to Predestinato last race and the higher up positions that M1 is getting. So, yeah.
And then when we look through the current standings that you're looking at now, folks, so there's the confirmation of that gap of just 5 points from Predestinato to M1 Righty. Then comes Emeleki and SS7. So Emeleki, with their really strong result in Texas last week, has stretched out their gap on SS7 to, what is that, 13 points. Toby, do you think Emeleki will hold on to that third spot on in the championship, or will SS7 overhaul them here in Abu Dhabi?
It may be possible. Never rule out anything when it can be possible. But I have more money on Emeleki holding P3.
Yeah, I'm gonna suggest the same. Rio, do you think Emeleki will hang on, or do you think our league owner SS7 is going to come through and nick that third place back off of them?
Emeleki's definitely got a chance because he's been getting faster and faster, and possibly even faster than SS7. But yeah, I think it's more than likely that he will keep the P3 in SS7. Might have to, yes, just tailgate along.
Yeah, we will see. M. Dorling was putting SS7 under some pressure as well, so we won't count them out entirely. M. Dorling from stealing fourth place off of SS7, and M. Dorling, I think, has finished ahead of SS7 in quite a few of the recent races as well. Certainly been getting a lot closer. Joe Bean is no longer racing with the league. They took victory in Austria, but that was their last race for G-Force Racing due to a changing evening commitments on a Wednesday. But we have enjoyed Joe's company here at G-Force Racing. Mac T continuing to pick up points when they can be with us. Good showing last week in Vegas. And David T, as we lost earlier in the season, again due to changing personal commitments, but stays part of our league. And as we see David in the chat, and also with all the stats and on the FIA, continuing to play a massive role here. And Lost also had some good performances this season, almost picking up some podiums and poles, but they didn't quite make it to the top step of the podium this season. But if we can see more of them next season, then I'm sure we will see more of Lost and that McLaren on the podium. All right, let's get out there to qualifying. We'll come back and talk a little bit about the constructors in a moment, but I do want to get out on the track as we're in Q2. Now, Ares X28 has set the fastest lap so far, 122.977. Then Sam Ross 10, we welcome them back with a 123.294. Ares has decided they've had enough, so they have retired already. So very confident of that time. Then Desaves with a 123.509. And we welcome back a certain missing individual. Now, I do need to make sure that, the detector is working still. That's good to know. All right, so we've been missing Mr. Hannes for a few weeks as they recovered from pretty serious injury. But it's brilliant to have them back with us. They've set a time of 123.722. So hopefully that body of Mr. Hannes is healing quite nicely. They will be out of practice, so we'll give them a bit of break in that sense. But the reset to track detector is still working, and that's the main thing. So we can keep an eye on that now that Mr. Hannes is back with us. Charlie Ark's got a time in, a 128.005. Let me bring up the tyres as well, because we saw from... Yeah, there we go. So some of our drivers using different tyres in these early stages of qualifying just to get a lap time in, perhaps a bit of a banker in the case of Sam Ross and Ares, and maybe they'll go a bit faster in a little while. We've got 9 minutes of qualifying left to go. And Rio, did want to have a quick chat about Charlie Ark, because they really announced themselves on the scene last week in Vegas, gave us some excellent racing with Emeleki, M. Dorling and a few others. What do you think? They've got to be a strong contender for a podium today, based on last week's performance.
Yeah, Charlie Ark was someone who I didn't expect to be that have that good of a performance in his first race, because when you're getting used to everything. But yeah, he's done a really good job since his first race, and he's definitely a contender for podium, or bit unlikely a win.
Well, I wouldn't put it past them, given their strong showing in Vegas last week. And if anything, it would be good to have a regular Red Bull out on the track with G-Force Racing. We've struggled to find a regular team set up for Red Bull, but hopefully Charlie Ark may be one of those. And if their quality continues that we saw last week, they will be very welcome here at G-Force Racing. That is for sure. A number of our drivers yet to set a lap, but we're with Dorling here as they are coming down towards the back end of the circuit. I don't know if they're actually on a hot lap yet or not. I don't know if Pete can tell me if M. Dorling's actually on a hot lap. They were coming through turn 9 and 10 there. Yeah, so Pete's telling me M. Dorling is on a hot lap, so this will be their first one. They're coming under the hotel here in Abu Dhabi. This place looks amazing at night time. Emeleki setting the fastest time so far, 122.951. M. Dorling coming around the final corner here. They'll be setting their first lap time of the day. And M. Dorling takes that fastest time, puts provisional first in Q2, 122.924. So M. Dorling going well. So Obo and the Obo family will be very pleased with that. All they need to do here, folks, is get into the top 10 out of Q2 so that we go into the final round of qualifying into Q3. But that's given M. Dorling a very good chance of that. SS7 has set an early time, 139.855, but on medium tyres. They will need to do an awful lot better than that to get through. M1 Righty is on an out lap. They'll be coming around to start a lap very shortly. Looks as though SHS here, our current championship leader, is on a hot lap. They are coming down this really long straight here in Abu Dhabi, pounding down into turn 6 and 7. There's chicane, back on the power over those curbs and into our second DRS zone. Like many of our tracks in this season, a lot of this stuff happens at speed. We'll fly into turn 9. Lots of different lines for our drivers to take through there. Pete's telling me SHS is purple in sector 1. And now into SS7, setting the fastest time so far on medium tyres, a 122.820. So that's looking good for SS7. As we come around the final corners, this will be SHS Predestinato setting their first qualifying time and takes the fastest, 122.148. So gauntlet down by SHS to their teammate M1 Righty, and they'll just be looking to get through. There'll be 3 drivers knocked out. We are losing Sancho Killer immediately. They do have a qualification ban for this week, so thank you to Sancho for abiding by that decision from the FIA. So there'll be 2 drivers who will leave us out of Q2, and we'll just be left with 10 for Q3 here. Peter's telling me Charlie Ark is on a lap here. Let me bring up our lap data. Now our drivers will be looking to improve. We'll see that in the top right corner of our screen, folks. We'll look at the sector times and see if Charlie can improve on their current 128.005. Remember, Charlie set that 128 on a set of intermediate tyres, so they should certainly go a bit faster here. That Mercedes staying well out of our way. M1 Righty is up, Peter's telling me. And we're on board with Charlie Ark here in the Red Bull. Coming around turns 15 and 16, back on the power, over the line. 122.475 from Charlie Ark puts them provisional second out of Q2. That will put them through at the moment. Rio, who do you think's at risk here?
It's hard to tell because with 13 drivers, I don't know the format for Q2, but I think if M1 doesn't put in a lap, then he's at risk. Same with Spicy, Sam Ross, and maybe Disovic.
Well, M1 was listening to you, Rio. They've just set the fastest time so far, 1:21.90. So that is M1 signalling their intent here. Also, this is going to be, Toby, this is going to be a great battle at the front, isn't it, between the two Alpines?
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. But being that there'll be no team orders.
Now, Emeleki is 3 laps in on some soft tyres. Maybe they feel pretty comfortable. It's Sam Ross and Spicy have really got to get a move on here. We've only got 3 minutes of Q2 left to go. Predestinato is obviously happy with their time. They have retired from this session. No, you need to chew up tyres unnecessarily. With those lap times, they are probably safe. We're with Sam Ross. We haven't spent much time with Sam Ross this season, so we will give them the honour of a qualification lap here in Abu Dhabi. And they are looking to improve on a 1:23.294. They've got to improve by 0.3 to get ahead of Decives in front of them to make it through to the last 10 in Q3. So we're heading down to turn 5. Pretty fast hairpin this. The exit from turn 5 ever so crucial. Get on the power as early as we can. We are going to take all of this speed, accelerating down this main straight. DRS will be wide open, and we've got to set up for turn 6 as we essentially lose part of the track on the right hand side. Brake around about 100 metres, get on that curb. Bit of a snap there of oversteer from Sam Ross. Back on the power. We're going to come up to our second DRS zone now. We'll see a lot of overtaking here into turn 9. So the driver's able to take numerous lines through here. Some will go tight to the apex, others will drift round the outside, try and take a little bit more speed as we head round the slightly tighter part of the circuit towards the hotel. The lights flashing on the hotel in front of us, and Sam Ross trying to improve on that 1:23.294 and get into the last 10 for qualification. Give themselves the best chance of finishing in the points for the race ahead. And we cross the line, and Sam Ross does improve. 1:22.916 moves up into 8th place. That relegates Decives currently into 11th. Spicy Nuts is also up, so this is looking a little bit dodgy for M. Dorling at the moment also, who is on an outlap at the moment. So M. Dorling's got to go some here. Spicy Nuts is improving by almost half a second. Spicy struggling to keep the car inside track limits here for the McLaren. They're doing this on their own for McLaren today, so no Lost with us, or Jay as you might know them. Oh, bit of oversteer and will spin from Spicy Nuts, but they do improve. Spicy now into 8th. Decives is down there in 12th. They are also just started an outlap. We're with M. Dorling. Mr. Hanners has stayed in the pits by the looks of things, so they look happy with their 6th place. They look pretty secure there. So we're on board with M. Dorling looking to improve on their 1:22.924. Remember, Decives is the one that has got to try and get in front of M. Dorling here. Ares has already left Q2, so they are going to be out of Q3, as is Sancho, who's missing out on qualification today. They'll be starting at the back. So M. Dorling now onto the first of the main straights. Heading down to this tricky chicane. Cars decelerating from over 200 miles an hour. And M. Dorling staying clear of these curbs. They are not kind to the cars on the inside, but will run out over the outside curbs. Back on the power again. Pete's telling me it is going to be very close here. M1 was, yeah, so I'm just sort of purple on my screen, but that was M1's time from earlier, so that was a slight distraction. We're with M. Dorling coming through Sector 2. And they were up 1.5 tenths in the early part of the lap, but they're trying to protect themselves from, so Decives has gone 6th, so pressure is on M. Dorling to get out of there. Maybe Sam Ross is going to be relegated into that 10th spot. M. Dorling coming over the line now with a that was 1:22.6. I think that was good enough. Just looking at my timing screens now. Not updated yet. I think
Fifth.
that's all, yeah, 5th place. Rio, thank you. Yeah, we see that there. So good drive from him, Dorling. So this is our top 10 going into Q3. M1 Righty, SHS, Charlie Ark, Mac T, M Dorling, Emeleki, Decivest, Mr. Hannes, SS7 on medium tyres, and Spicy Nuts. Rio, that's pretty impressive from SS7 on medium tyres. They're probably feeling quite confident. What do you reckon? Is that worth an extra second a lap?
I think that is worth an extra second a lap, because I think what he is doing is, I might be wrong, but he is not putting in a lot of power, like not trying to get at the top, but he's also trying not to get eliminated, so he can use all of his energy for Q3 for pole.
Now, I did say at the start of today's race that we would have a little bit of a GFR stats pop quiz. And whilst we're waiting for our drivers to get out on track for Q3 here, I thought I'd give my fellow commentators a bit of a challenge. All right, so these are all from David T stats. So if you've been doing your swatting up, then good for you. If not, here's a challenge for you. And if you're watching along with us and would like to participate in the chat, feel free to put your answers in the chat as well. So first question, folks. M1 Righty has won 5 feature races this season. SHS has won 4 feature races. Which 2 drivers have won the other 2 feature races? So I'll give you a moment to think about that. I'll repeat that question. So if M1 Righty's won 5 feature races, SHS has won 4, which 2 drivers have won the other 2? So folks, you cannot hear Pete, but I'll get Toby and Rio. You're welcome to confer with each other before you give me your answer. And I'll ask David T not to put the answer in the chat because he will know. But who are our other 2 drivers who have won the feature races this year?
I think if
NRG?
I might be wrong, but Joe Bean, I think he might have won on his last race. That I might be wrong, but I remember that very, very well. Joe Bean's last race, and he could have won.
You are right, Rio, and Joe Bean won in Austria, and Toby, I heard you say Emeleki, yeah?
I said NRG.
NRG.
I was just thinking that or Emeleki, now that you said Emeleki.
Ah, David T has given it away, but he didn't hear me in the chat, on the audio. That's okay, David. That's okay. Just keep your powder dry for the next one. All right. Yeah. So Rio, you're absolutely spot on. Joe Bean in Austria, and then it was Emeleki in Zandvoort. That incredible finish to the race in the rain, where Emeleki came over the line to take pole. All right. That was question number 1. All right. Now this is not an accolade I think any driver wants to have, but. And I may have given away the answer to this question in our off-air chat, but which drivers had the most DNFs this season?
Lost to me.
That is, well, you'll be glad to know, Toby, that's wrong. It's not you. There's someone else. Can you think who it might be?
I've just seen it.
It is Sancho Rio. Well done. Yeah. So Sancho Killer has had the toughest of the DNFs this season. Yeah, Sancho Killer, and I think if I'm got my numbers right, it's at least 5. I think it may actually now be 6, but it's at least
5 and 4.
Yeah.
So 5 for Killer and 4 for Lost.
And
I was remembering the all-time stats.
And it's just 3 for you, Toby. So it's okay. It's okay. And you were picking up points this season as well for Williams. So no, hold your head up high, and it's an improvement from previous season as well. So no, keep practicing. Keep practicing. Okay, next question. Right, which 2 drivers have the most top 10 finishes this season? Which 2 drivers have the most top 10 finishes?
I think Spicy and Mac T, or
I'm going to say SHS and M1.
Oh, well, Toby's the closest with SHS. SHS is indeed one of those, and Pete's got the other one. It is SS7. Both of these drivers have.
I thought you meant.
That's all right.
I thought he meant top like different drivers.
No, well, that may well be a
yeah.
very good answer if that was the question. Yeah, no, it's SHS and SS7 have scored in every single round of GeForce Racing this season. And indeed, SS7 has scored in every single round of GeForce Racing, both in Season 1 and Season 2 in the feature races. So SS7 very consistent and is always going to get you points when they're out there on track. We haven't forgotten about qualifying, of course, here, folks. We're in Q3. SS7 have set in the fastest time so far, 122.294. We're riding with Emeleki at the moment. Mr. Hannes is second at the moment on the grid, 122.509, and Mac T with a 122.576. I'll put Emeleki up as we go to question number 4, folks. And this is the last one for now. We'll come back to the others in a minute. This is a cracking stat, this one. How many feature race fastest laps does SHS have? How many fastest lap feature race? How many fastest laps does SH have? So Pete says 6. Rio, Toby, what's your guess? 7 for Rio. And this is at the end of the race, you know. So once we award you get a point for fastest lap. Any other guesses?
1.
It's actually none, and I couldn't believe this stat. SHS has not got a point for fastest lap at all this season, and considering where they are in the championship, leading the way,
Wow.
I think that's quite remarkable, Rio, isn't it?
Yeah, I would genuinely never expected him to have none, considering how fast he is, and he's like so much more likely to get fastest lap, and it's shocking that, like, the news is shocking that he doesn't have them.
And I've got to say a big thank you again to David T for all of those stats. I've got a few more questions. If we get a moment before the end of today, I might challenge you with a couple of more. There's a Mercedes, I think, just getting well out of the way rather than having a moment there. Emeleki set a time of 122.679. But yes, just to repeat that, David T, thanks ever so much for those stats. A lot of entertainment and a lot of great insight for us into what the goings on within GeForce Racing. All right, SHS Predestinato does have the fastest lap so far. M1 righty in provisional second. The Alpines are going to be side by side at the start of this race. Then SS7 and Mr. Hannes in third and fourth. Mac T alongside Emeleki at the moment. Desavest with the 122.961. M. Dawlings on an outlap. We'll go with Spicy Nuts here as they're trying to improve. And just about to come over the line. Spicy really struggling. Toby, I don't know if you see that with Spicy Nuts coming out that last corner. They really seem to struggle getting the traction down.
Yeah, I'm just watching on the replay since my game's been annoying. But yeah, he definitely seemed to almost have a mistake that I would do. The rear end just slightly stepping out, but having it under control nonetheless.
I know Spicy has been switching between controllers and steering wheels in recent weeks, I think in a quest for speed, and maybe they're on a input device they're not quite as familiar with at this point. But Spicy's got a time on the board, a 123.161, where Charlie Ark now trying to get their first time on the board. So all of our drivers trying to get as far up the finishing order here as they possibly can to give themselves the best chance of scoring points. And remember, there's still a bit of a battle here for third place in the championship, with SS7 currently ahead of Emeleki as Charlie Ark's going to come over the line. Charlie sets the second fastest time, splits the Alpines with a 122.110. M. Dawling is purple, Pete is telling me, in Sector 1. So M. Dawling picking up the pace here. Remember, the fastest lap from Q3. Get my numbers around the wrong way, folks. From Q2, I think was a 121.9 dead. SHS setting pretty much close to that. So M. Dawling's got to get ahead of that if they want to take pole here. And I think M. Dawling was on pole recently for Monza. Rio, were you with us for Monza? I can't remember if you were still away.
I was away from Monza, but yeah, no, I was away from Monza because I had the PEC issues on my leg.
Well, it was the race where we really saw the best of M. Dorling in terms of speed. M. Dorling sets a 122.393, puts them in provisional 5th. Thank you, Obo, for that in the chat. Yeah, so we are keeping a close eye on the Alfa Romeo today and the Aston, because they are going to be fighting over constructors. We'll bring up the table of those once we get through qualifying here. And then we're also got an eye on SS7 and Emeleki for 3rd place in the championship. And I might ask David T, as they're with us today, if they can help us out with the calculations for the 3rd place finish as well. I have got in front of me, you can't see it, folks, but I have got a full 1-page A4 size of the various permutations for the championship winner here today. The very simple equation is that if SHS wins, they win the championship. If M1 Righty wins, then M1 Righty wins the championship. But everything else after that, it goes in all sorts of different directions. So David T is going to help us in the chat here today. I think they promised to do that in the drivers' chat earlier with some of these equations as we go through the race here in Abu Dhabi. Because it could literally change from lap to lap who may be our winner. But keep that in your mind. If M1 wins, they win the championship. If SHS wins here today, they win the championship also. So our drivers will be preparing one last time for one last fast lap. Mr. Hannes is on an out lap. We are definitely going to ride with Mr. Hannes in just a moment. Mac T, I think, is on a fast lap here. Let's bring up the lap data. Please confirm they are indeed on a fast lap here. Mac T, Rio, I've been impressed with Mac T this season. When they've been with us, they haven't been with us for every race, but when they've been with us, they've driven very, very well and usually been in the top half of the finishing order, if not actually on the podium. They have to get out all the way of the Haas there on the left-hand side. Rio, how do you think season 2 has gone for Mac T from your perspective?
It has gone very well for him. He's always been challenging the top 5, and he's been putting out good laps. He's been putting out good qualifying laps, and he has been having some great battles on track. So it's gone very well for him this season, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think they've had a cracking season. They lost their main teammate, Jay Repo, earlier on in the season, who would have been also a championship contender if they were able to stay with us. But we know Jay Repo's got other commitments also with other racing leagues, and I'm not surprised. They were a fantastic driver. We enjoyed their company last season, also, as well as the early part of this season. But Mac T setting at 122.117, their provisional 3rd, just behind Charlie Ark, literally only, well, of course, milliseconds behind Charlie Ark. Then SHS Predestinato still out front. M1 Righty, Toby, has retired from qualifying. Do you think they've just saving tyres, or they don't got the pace, or what do you think's going through their mind? Were they happy with 4th, maybe?
How far along were they in the lap when they retired? Because depending on that, depends on the answer. Because if they were most of the way through and weren't improving, then I would have retired to save the rest of the tyres. But yeah.
Well, maybe they've got some strategy in mind, but they're close enough to the drivers in front of them. And maybe they're looking to make their way through, and maybe they trust their ability. M. Dorling finishing with a 122.393. We are on board with Mr. Hannes. I have disabled the tracker, or the reset to tracker. For now, we've had a bit of fun with Mr. Hannes for this season. They are flying around the back of the circuit here, looking to improve on their 122.509. SHS goes even fast, and Mr. Hannes will have invalidated. That's a shame. So they will stay currently in 7th. Zesaves is just coming around. I think they are going slowly, so that is the end of qualifying for Desaves also. And SS7 has moved up into 3rd, Rio. I don't know if SS7 was sandbagging earlier on those medium tyres, but that's SS7 on the 2nd row alongside Mac T.
Yeah, he was definitely sandbagging earlier, saving the best for last. And I think it's paid off very well for him, as you can clearly tell. and also Charlie Ark has gone quick as well. So props to both those guys. They have definitely paid off in multiple areas.
It really has. Well, this is setting us up for an interesting battle. Remember, M1 Righty has to finish in front of SHS Predestinato if they want to take the crown as championship driver of Season 2 for GeForce Racing Elite League. That is the end of qualifying, folks. So SHS Predestinato on pole position with a 121.754, closely followed by Charlie Ark and then SS7. Then comes Mac T for Ferrari, the other Alpine of M1 Righty in 5th place, alongside M Dorling for Alfa Romeo. Hannes and Desaves there in 7th, and 8th Haas and Mercedes respectively. Emelecki there in 9th, and then Spicy Nuts in 10th. Rio, Emelecki's got to be looking over their shoulder at SS7. That would be a significant gap of points and might allow SS7, if it finished that way, to take 3rd spot in the championship.
Yeah, Emelecki has a lot of work to do if he wants to. I can't remember what he needs to beat SS7 in the championship, but I could already tell he's got a lot of work to do. And yeah, SS7 will just have to be watching out, looking over his shoulder for him.
And it's only 13 points, I think, the difference. And the other difference we're looking at is I've just brought up the constructors standing. So Alpine are our constructors champions for Season 2. Mercedes have got 2nd place nailed on, particularly with both Mercedes drivers out there today in the top 10. Aston Martin and Alfa Romeo, that's where the battle is. Just 11 points separate the Astons and the Alfas. So based on today's performances so far, it's going to be a close finish between Aston and Alfa. So that's another one for all of us maths geniuses out there to keep an eye on. I think David T and a few of us here in the commentary box are going to be pretty busy here trying to keep an eye on how this is all going to play out. If we can't give you the final standings at the end of today, you'll be able to find those on our Discord channel. And I think, Rio, did I hear mention that there is another podcast coming?
There is episode 2 tonight. We are going to be interviewing SS7, and we're also going to be doing a big recap on Season 2, so like races, drivers, and stuff like that.
Oh, that's going to be amazing. If you haven't caught the first one, folks, it is available on YouTube. There are links to it on our Twitch channel and on my M1 Racing YouTube channel also. So go and check out the first podcast, and I will suspect we'll get the confirmed provisional results, at least, with all the early maths done in Rio's podcast, and they will be officially announced on Friday. All right, folks, 5 lights are on. All right, folks, let's go racing for round 12 of GeForce Racing here in Abu Dhabi, with a great start from Charlie Ark, looking to try and get down the inside of SHS Predestinato. So no respect shown between Charlie Ark, the Red Bull driver, and our championship leader, SHS. And now SHS under pressure from SS7 in the Mercedes. Rio, what a cracking start from Charlie Ark.
That was a really good start from Charlie Ark. He was on those lights, and he was also on SHS, so he's going to do his best to try and pass them.
It's a will-to-will battle as we go down the first of the main straights here. Charlie getting past, and notice we've got M1 Righty trying to find a way past Mac T. Not able to make that work. And then SHS trying to go around the outside. A bit of a lock-up from the Ferrari of Mac T. And Pete's telling me Spicy Nuts got tagged, so they'll be trying to recover from that, and probably coming together with Sancho Killer, I imagine, back there. So Charlie Ark has led us away. SHS Predestinato dropping down into 2nd. SS7, I should say, into 3rd. Mac T holding on to 4th, but under pressure here from M1 Righty, trying to get past the Ferrari driver, trying to find a way round the outside. Toby, I'm going to come to you in a few moments. We'll start talking about looking ahead to tyre strategies and pit stops. But right now, we've got a mixture of tyres out there. I'll bring those up on the screen. We can just see that from the sidewalls of these tyres. Charlie Ark setting the early pace on starting lap 2 now. SHS dropping back down into 2nd. Mac T has held off the charge of M1 Righty. And so, Toby, we've got some drivers out there on mediums, but Mac T, M1 and Emelecki starting on hard. So other than Spicy, who's gone out early on softs, when do you think our medium runners are likely to come in?
I reckon anywhere from lap 10 to lap 15, depending on how much they're running in dirty air and how long they are planning to go and what tyre they're planning to go onto.
And M1 has just made it through on MacT. MacT still holding the inside of turn 7 there, but M1 has made it through up into 4th place. So M1's now got to get after SS7. Rio, what would you prefer to start on here, the mediums or the hards? The hards will certainly get you a long way into the race, but you're going to have the risk of the undercut here from the medium runners as well. What would have your starting strategy have likely been?
I would probably have gone mediums because considering how everyone is budgeted up at the start, you want to try and get furthest and then you want to pit for the hards. But the thing is with the mediums, they do go dead quite quickly on this track, and especially at those last couple of corners. So I would have gone with mediums, but I would have pitted quite early.
Well, there's been a change for second place here. SS7 has got past our championship leader, SHS Predestinato. So SHS and M1 are going to be recommencing battle here very shortly in our final race of the season. And I've got David T saying in the chat, M1 is provisional champion if it ends now. So, it's going to really mix things up if we get the Mercedes and the Red Bull fighting each other. But we've got a SHS on the inside of us here for the Alpine driver. So yes, indeed. So SS7 coming under some pressure with DRS now enabled. We'll see our drivers close up very quickly. Both the Mercedes and the Alpine having DRS there into turn 9. Great battle between these two drivers. SHS moving through, retaking second place. Charlie Ark, Rio, has really got us try and get away from this group. If they're going to stay within DRS, it's going to give us some great racing, but they're going to be changing places all the time.
Yeah, I think Charlie Ark has got the pace to pull away from everyone, but SS7 and SHS and M1 Radio will be charging along because of how high up in the championship they want to finish, if you know what I mean. So yeah, Charlie's going to be under a fair bit of pressure today.
We'll stay with this. Front battle briefly. Do want to head down to our other drivers at various points during today's race, but we've got a bit of a train of cars here, all within a half a second or so of each other, all the way down to Ares X28 before we get that 1 second gap. So Desaves will be outside DRS on the Ferrari, which will start seeing them drop back unless they can get back into that range. We're on the front wing here of SS7, who's now on the gearbox of Charlie Ark, with SHS retaking the lead of this race. But M1 Righty has got onto the back of SS7, and Mr. Hannes has gone with them. So Mr. Hannes staying with our with the Alpine of M1 Righty here, then MacT following on behind Mr. Hannes. So Toby, it looks as though those hards are not the best tyre for MacT to be on at the moment. I guess it will take a little while, will it, for those to really get up to a good temperature?
Yeah, definitely, but once it starts to get up to a temperature, it will be like there's fresh tyres on there, whereas the mediums will be 4 or 5 laps old and losing a small amount of grip already, so the hards should come into their own and then start overtaking the mediums again.
And we have a yellow flag in Sector 1 as Ares X28 has retired. I wonder if that yellow flag is going to clear. Let me bring up the track map. You can see if when we do get these, it's on the straight. So Ares X28 has... Let's just go down. No, the game won't let us go there because it has shown them as DNF. So they are moving. So whether it's a connection issue or something for Ares X28, we saw them go into the pit briefly. But Emeleki here, Rio, has not had a great start at all. They're all the way down there in 11th.
I think I saw Emeleki getting... he might have got tagged by either Sancho or another driver, but I do remember him losing quite a lot of positions, so he could have been tagged or he could have missed a corner or something like that.
Does look that way, Rio. So Spicy Nuts is up in 10th on the soft tyres, but now 4.5 seconds back, and I think they did have a coming together with a couple of cars early on the first lap. That's dropped them out of that. They will be praying for a safety car. We may struggle to get a safety car here today in Abu Dhabi. It's not known for having lots of safety cars. We don't think. Rio, do you recall a safety car in season 1 in Abu Dhabi, or did we get all the way through to the end?
I think we got all the way through to the end. I don't think I've ever seen a safety car in Abu Dhabi at all, even in the real world, so it's quite rare.
Desavest going very wide out of turn 1 there, and Emeleki is in the pits, so something is not right for Emeleki at all here. So they've got a lot of work to do, and they're third place in the championship at significant risk, as indeed is the Constructors' Championship also. M. Dorling is here in this gaggle of cars here between MACT, on the back of this gaggle of cars, perhaps just biding their time a little bit. They'll be able to use less battery to stay with these cars, just take advantage of DRS, perhaps a few mistakes from drivers in front. Let us get back up to the front, because it is all happening here between SHS, SS7 and Charlie Ark. Charlie Ark now back into the lead of this race, and we've got a great battle here, Rio, between about 7 drivers. Take your pick off this lot.
This is going to go on for ages, so I don't think I can pick, to be honest. They've all got relatively the same pace, but yeah, it's really difficult. I don't think I'll be able to call it.
No, there must have been a coming together there. There is indeed. That was, I think, Mr. Hannes recovering there back onto track. There was a coming together with MACT. M. Dorling definitely has benefited from that, as long as they didn't pick up any damage through there. But they've moved up into 5th, so definitely coming together between some cars into turn 16, that last corner before the start-finish straight. SS7 has now inherited the lead of this race, getting past Charlie Ark. Will they have DRS, or will they? No, indeed, they are going to be under pressure now from Charlie Ark with their DRS wide open. And there is SHS Predestinato coming through on SS7, braking heavily into the chicane. SS7 holding on to the inside. Drivers giving themselves as much room as they can. Great driving between these two, but SS7 has lost out as M1 Righty comes through on SS7. Very opportunist move, Rio, from M1 Righty.
I was watching him get on the back of SS7, just crawling up there, and then the next shot I see is he's gotten past him, so he's definitely getting quicker.
This is a great battle at the front. There has opened up a little bit of a gap now, although M. Dorling has got that gap down to under a second. So M. Dorling come into play for the battle at the front here. There's now a 1.3 second gap back to MACT. Mr. Hannes is recovering as best they can. They're struggling. I wonder if they've got some damage here. So Mr. Hannes really trying to putting their car in the right direction here. Sancho Killer we see behind in 9th, and then quite a gap back to Sam Ross and Spicy Nuts. Yeah, Mr. Hannes is really struggling. Toby, do you think Mr. Hannes has got some damage here?
Possibly. I can't see any front wing damage, so it could be diffuser, rear wing or floor.
They really seem to be going quite slowly right now, so it's not worked out for Mr. Hannes on their return to the league, but it's brilliant to have them back on track. MACT is getting back into the action here as well, so, and I think this is really important, Rio. You really don't want to be outside DRS for too long. MACT has used up all their battery, I think, to get there, but they need to get on the back of this train of cars, don't they?
Yep, he definitely does, because he's going to be quite down if he doesn't, down as in like down time, if he doesn't get on the back and start overtaking, because he's either going to be very far behind or he's going to be fighting with the dudes down below in 10 and 11th and stuff like that.
And I've just seen M1 Righty right buried under the gearbox of Charlie Ark here. They cannot afford, as we were just talking about, for SHS to scamper away. So M1 has got to get past Charlie as quickly as they possibly can if they've got any hope of taking victory. If SHS finishes in that position, they are going to win Season 2. An update from the Twitch chat. Thank you again, David T. So to make the P3 battle easier, David T says, SS7 needs to finish P4 with the fastest lap to have a chance of P3 in the championship. So that really is important for SS7. I don't know if SS7 is aware of that. We're watching from M1 righty as we come down into 6. Close up ever so quickly under braking there on the Red Bull, but do not go into the back of Charlie Ark there. And P5 in the Constructors' Championship requires Haas to outscore McLaren by 2 points. And at the moment, Mr. Hannes is doing just that with Spicy Nuts in 12th. Spicy Nuts will not pick up any points from 12th right now. So all to play for here. We're on lap 9 of 29. So we've got another 20 laps left to go before we know who we're going to crown as the Drivers' Champion for Season 2. And it's shaping up very, very nicely. We have seen some early pit stops. I'll bring up that information. So just the one stop for Emileki and for Spicy. So Emileki and Spicy not having the greatest of starts here, but no one else yet to go in. So tyre strategies will play out in full, I suspect, here, with the mediums being in first, then followed by the hard runners looking to take those as long as they can. Rio, were you with us for Qatar?
Qatar, I don't think so. No, I wasn't. I was still having issues.
Now that was the reason I raised that. I think, Toby, you were with me in Qatar, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
And that was an epic ending with both Alpines blowing their tyres. Now, because Qatar just eats tyres for breakfast. Oh, has he got M1 righty looking to go down the inside of SHS Predestinato there with SHS. I don't know if they were blindsided by the fact that Charlie Ark had just got past them. But that is a very opportunist attempt, at least, by M1. Didn't make that stick, and that's allowed SS7 to close back onto the back of M1 righty. M. Dorling's right in play now, as is Mac T. Then we've got that back gap of 7 and a bit seconds down to Desaves, and then another 7-second gap also to Mr. Hannes. Sancho Killer picking up the first track limit penalty of the day, but Charlie Ark is our leader, mixing it up with our big boys in the Alpine team here. And M1 is looking pretty racy, and I see Obo in the chat also reckoning that M1 is looking in good shape here. And Rio, would you agree with Obo's assessment on these hard tyres, putting their teammate SHS Predestinato under a lot of pressure, and will have faster tyres for the second half of this race?
Yeah, M1 is definitely got the pace, and he, like Obo said, I completely agree with that. He's got the pace, he's got the tyres, and his tyres will last a lot longer than SHS's. So he will, SHS will either have to pit, or his tyres are going to run out, and M1 will pass him anyway. So it could go either direction. What
will M1 do? They're really trying to force a way through on the Red Bull. SHS is through into the lead, and it looks like M1 has gone with them. So I don't know if you saw that, Rio, but that looked tough luck up for Charlie Ark. They're losing 2 positions pretty much in one go, but M1 wasn't going to let SHS get away.
I didn't see that because the camera was unfortunately on SHS's head. So, but I think I do remember seeing Charlie fade away in the mirror.
Toby, did you catch that move from SHS and M1 on Charlie Ark?
Unfortunately not.
Oh, it was just us on the stream then. That's good, or at least the viewers got to see that overtake. So Charlie Ark dropping down into third, potentially into the clutches of SS7. And SS7 going well here. They've had some tough races in recent weeks, but with a strong showing so far. We're 11 laps in, and Pete's telling me to keep an eye on Mac T. Let's go down to Mac T. Another one of our hard runners, 3-second time penalty for Sam Ross. But that's brought them right into play. So these hard runners, Rio, are really looking in good shape, particularly as they've managed to stay with this pack of cars at the front. They're swapping DRS all the time. I guess Mac T going through on the inside of M. Dorling. I think we've got to give Mac T a shout of the possible podium here as well, maybe.
Yeah, Mac T, along with M1, he's done a brilliant move in the pit stop and the tyres bit, because his tires are going to last a lot longer than SS7, Charlie Ark, and SHS's. So he could be fighting with them in a couple of laps' time for the podium.
And Peter's rightly saying so in my ear that these medium tyres are clearly going off now, with the hard runners able to certainly not only stay with these mediums but actually get past them very, very easily. M1 is into the lead of this race. That is where they need to finish if they want to take victory here today in Abu Dhabi and in the championship. SHS is back there now in second, Charlie Ark in third, and we've now got the fast charging Ferrari of Mac T looking to come through on SS7, which they will likely do on the next straight. We did see Mac T aggressively using their battery, their ERS, and we can see it on their steering wheel. It's that orange glowing bar at the bottom, which is very depleted for Mac T. Will not be able to use too much to get past SS7. SS7 has conserved their ERS a little bit more. We go up to SS7's cockpit, but not by much. So SS7 really fighting hard to stay with Charlie Ark, but certainly seems to have good control of this Mercedes here today. Their teammate Desaves also doing very well, looking to cement second place for Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship. But Mac T not able to get past SS7 on that occasion. And indeed, Rio, are we starting to see these hard tyres coming into their own? SHS did not get past M1 on the straight that time. M1 will want to pull away if they can.
Yeah, the medium tyres are just coming off. They're just starting to deplete, and they're starting to slow the drivers down, mainly because of the track and just because of how quickly they're going and how much pressure and how brutal they're going with the tyres. So I think that the M1 Racing Macti could be fighting for position if SS7 pits next lap.
Well, what's really going to be important for us now, Rio and Toby and Pete, and for all of you watching, is the pit stops are starting. SHS Predestinato and Charlie are now both in onto new hard tyres. They're going to take these to the very end of this race, so they've got to take them best part of 17 laps to get to the very end. Our hard runners right now are 13 laps in. We could see that their medium runners, the early medium runners to pit, thought 13 laps, 12 laps was enough. So that's got to be in the minds of our current hard runners before they switch. And it really depends how quickly SHS and Charlie Ark can start to close that gap on those fresher tyres. Pete will keep an eye on the lap times for us. David T says in the chat, at the end of lap 12, M1 would be champion and Emma Leckie would hold on to third place in the Drivers' Championship, but still all to play for. Emma Leckie is 8 laps in on mediums, Rio. They're going to have to pit again, do you think?
Yeah, I think, or he might pit at the very last of the medium tyres, which we saw before was, I think, like around 11, 12 laps, which I think was the sort of the slow bit. So he could pit around there, or he could go on to hards and battle with the others.
And we've got a brilliant battle going on between Charlie Ark and SHS Predestinato, which I'm with at the moment. And this is only going to slow both of these drivers down, as well as wearing out their tyres a little bit more quickly than I think either of them would like, as SS7 now pits from third place there, or I think it was second when they came in. That's promoted Mac T up to second, M Dorling to third. So SS7 now coming out on hard tyres. But Toby, I guess SHS and Charlie Ark battling here is going to slow them down, and that's going to play into the strategy of M1, Mac T, and possibly M Dorling.
100%, and definitely even with 1 lap old hard, they still could be slightly cold. They could be getting cold tear and pushing their tyres too hard too early. They may have really bad tyres at the end of this race, which will play into the hands of M1 and McAtee, definitely.
And there's a possibility we mix things up a little bit with Emma Leckie going on to soft tyres. I don't know if, Rio, that was you who said that, was Pete who said that. SHS is not letting up on this battle with Charlie Ark. I think there's 2 of them perhaps may even work together to try and use DRS to get more and more pace to catch up to M1 Righty and Mac T. Looking at the lap times, it was the last lap for M1 was 1:27.6 6, SHS and Charlie are about to cross the line now, so we'll get very shortly, what will give us a idea of what times they're doing on their newer tyres. They're coming over the line now. 3-second penalty for Emeleki, that's going to hurt them. So 2 seconds faster for our new hard runners, Rio. That's good early pace, even though they are fighting over position.
That is very good early pace, and as you were saying before, it will slow them down in some areas, but not all the time. As you just said, that they were quite fast on the inside. So I think if M1 righty, I'm gonna butcher this. If M1 righty pits in a couple of laps for a new set of hard tires, if he has some, he could well and truly be champion, because unless he crashes, because those tires will be new, they'll be fresh, and they'll be a lot newer than SHS. So yeah.
Well, these two are really fighting it out here, and possibly I do think there's some strategy here going on. Both of them leapfrogging in DRS. I wonder if what Charlie's battery's like. Yeah, I think this is Charlie's thinking, well, I've got an opportunity to help out SHS Predestinato, but also win this race by leveraging the DRS, conserving my battery, working together to potentially come through. M1 righty and MacT are now into the pits. Whether or not they're seeing those lap times come down quickly. So, quick maths, that's going to be about 12 laps or so to take these medium tyres through. So Toby, these mediums will be quick. Do you think they'll be sufficiently quick enough to leapfrog these hard runners?
100%, because they're a softer compound. It's just whether they can last the length of the race. Yes, it's on a lower fuel load, but we saw that these tyres could only do about 13 laps, and they were definitely losing a lot of pace to the hards at that time. So it's dependent whether they can nurse their tyre and get a better grip at the end of the race.
And we've got Obo in the chat. We will go up to their teammate M. Dorling, actually, who is leading this race and doing very, very well. 7.5 seconds ahead. That gap closing down, of course, to SHS Predestinato. But potentially softs at the end, for possible suggestion from Obo in the chat, and is predicting a mega end to this race, as I think this is the opportunity M. Dorling is going to take to come into the pits. We'll stay with them, see what tyres they actually go on to. I'd be very surprised if it is softs. That's going to move Charlie Ark, who's now just got past SHS into the lead of this race. M. Dorling coming in, switching on to softs. Well, there's a bold move, Rio. M. Dorling onto soft tyres. If they can hang on to those softs, it's going to really mix things up at the end. We're back to the front with SHS on the tail of Charlie Ark, as Charlie looks to establish themselves as a fully fledged pro here in the G-Force Racing Elite League. They're certainly able to stay with the best of them here in the Red Bull, and SHS again using DRS moves back into the lead of this race. And do you think, Rio, maybe am I reaching here? Do you think they are genuinely fighting, or are the two of them just exchanging DRS?
I apologize. I disconnected for a second there, but could you repeat that there? Then?
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to check if my logic was sound. That to me, it looks as though these two drivers in front are pretty much just exchanging DRSs. It seems to be intentional rather than actual racing. The drivers might tell us different if we can find out after the race. But do you think that's helping them in terms of trying to keep ahead of M1, or do you think it's just genuine racing?
I think it's a bit of mix of both, because you would never ever see a driver of another team helping out driver of, the enemy team, basically. But yeah, I think it might be a mix of both, because SHS wants to, sort of use the DRS to get as much ahead of M1 as possible without.
Pete's telling me
moving the tyres and
yeah. Sorry to come across you there, Rio. Pete's telling me M1 is purple in every single sector right now. So I think these two needed to try and get as far ahead as they can. Because M1, if they can get past on those medium tyres and get outside of DRS, is going to be long gone into the distance. And M1 has now got past Charlie and is going to try and get round their championship protagonist. And they've done it into turn 9. M1 Righty moves through into the lead of this race. And we're going to have to monitor that gap now. Can M1 stay with can SHS stay with M1? Can Charlie Ark keep this battle of 3 going? We've got a yellow flag in sector 2. If I look on my map, it's Spicy Nuts has had a moment down there. Yeah, a bit of damage, I think, for Spicy as well. Yeah, lost the front wing end plate. So Spicy's had better days for sure. I think Spicy will be in. That's a long way to go, or with pretty much no front wing. So Spicy down there currently in 11th and picking up some damage. M. Dorling is 5.5 seconds back from Mac T in 5th. We won't count them out yet for a strong points finishing position. SS7 battling out with Emeleki is not quite doing enough to take 3rd place in the Drivers' Championship just yet, but it isn't over yet. Still 9 more laps to go after this one. SHS has dropped back, Rio. It's 1.3 seconds from M1 Righty. Do you think M1 can hang on to this?
I think M1 may have already secured it because those are some very fast medium tyres, and also he's got only about just under 9 laps left of the race, so he could have secured this already.
Toby, it looks like the perfect strategy from M1.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just worried that he may push him too hard, and we may, at the extreme case, get a guitar again, or he'll just fall into the clutches of the hard runners later on, like last lap or so.
We will see how well these mediums last. I think they've only really got to take them 13 laps. So we saw those last pretty much okay, at least for our other drivers who started on those with much heavier fuel loads. M1 also has the fastest lap of the race, a 124.222. So right now M1 is in pole position to win Season 2 of G-Force Racing Elite League as SHS continues to battle here with Charlie Ark. SS7 starting to close that gap down to these the Alpine and the Red Bull. So SS7 isn't counted out of a podium finishing position. The gap between MacT and M. Dorling is starting to shrink a little. I'm just having a look at the lap times. MacT is on medium tyres. They did a 125.3 last lap. M. Dorling did a 125.1. So these softs not switching on immediately for M. Dorling, but they haven't got too much longer to go. Mr. Hannes is with Desaves here. Glad we got to Mr. Hannes at this key point. They're just about to pass the Mercedes here, or trying to find a way past the Mercedes. Think better of it into turn 6. And Mr. Hannes will have DRS again on the Mercedes in front of them. Desaves will have very little defence against the Haas here, but they will see that Mr. Hannes does have a time penalty. So if Desaves can stay with Mr. Hannes, they will leapfrog them over the finish line if they can stay within probably 3 seconds there for Mr. Hannes. We'll look at penalties right towards the very end. Got Sancho Killer pretty much out on their own here in 9th. Then comes Emeleki now on the latest set of tyres. They've been in for their second stop of mediums. That will take them to the very end of this race. Emeleki only going to pick up 1 point. I wonder what that might do to the championship. I don't know if, David, you can confirm if it finishes this way, lap 22 with Emeleki in 10th, SS7 in 4th, whether that will be enough for SS7 or not. That's getting very close for 3rd place in the championship. Pete's rightly said check penalties, because Emeleki has one, as does 3 seconds for Emeleki, 12 seconds for Sam Ross. Sancho Killer's got 9, and Mr. Hannes just with the 3. Emeleki will indeed close that gap pretty quickly on fresh tyres, as Pete rightly says. So Wow, Rio, have you seen that gap between M1 Righty and SHS Predestinato? That's gone out to over 4 seconds now.
For me, it says 2, but sorry, were you talking about M1 and SHS or SHS and Charlie Arc?
M1 and SHS. It's
M1 and SHS.
4.5 seconds it's showing here on my screen.
On my screen it's showing 2.3, but yeah, I think the gap is going up. Oh, there you go. It's just updated. So yeah, it's constantly going up. But the thing is, you got to be quite worried about M1's tires, just in case he pushes them too hard, and if he does that.
And we've got a yellow flag in Sector 3. Sancho Killer has DNF'd. So we've lost Sancho Killer there. And a safety car. Goodness me, this is going to mix it up for the finale of this race. Drivers have got to get in. You're going to be pitting, Rio, yeah?
I would have definitely pitted for some new mediums.
So Emeleki is first to pass the pits here. And Emeleki did not pit. Well, they have only just pitted, actually. So they are on pretty brand new medium tyres. So there's probably not a great deal of surprise in the chat here from Obo that Sancho's caused a safety car. It's going to give us some great racing at the very end of this race. But M1 had stretched out a huge lead, nearly 6 seconds. And is M1 going to come in and change tyres? They've got a bit of an advantage. We are with M1 here. Or do they risk it? Do they risk it? We're with them. They are indeed. They're going to go in. So now the decision is for SHS. They're pitting as well. Okay. Well, shades of 2021, I think, Rio here, perhaps.
Yeah, I think it might go down to the very last sector, because they're both pitting, and they're both gonna do well. They've both gone onto the softs, and it looks like everyone's going to the softs. So it could be a very, 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 very good last lap, couple last laps.
Everyone is in. Everyone is on to new tyres, except for Emeleki, who has stayed out on those mediums, which they'd only just pitted. They'll have no defence against the soft runners, I suspect. But because the Alpines had to stack, SHS now has to get past 2 other cars to get past Charlie and SS7. And these drivers are not going to play nice with SHS Predestinato here. So a lot of work for Predestinato to do. And we can't count out Mac T. Even though they're on medium tyres, they've shown some pace here today. So there's a... Pete's just asked me what happens if Charlie wins. Well, Charlie bets a whole bunch of points, but I think it just, I think M1 just needs to finish in front of Predestinato. But hang on a minute, I'm going to look at my stats. David T, well, I'm sure will update us even quicker than I can look at this. So if M1 finishes in second with fastest lap, which they currently have, SHS has to be P4 or lower. So SHS has to be P4 or lower. So if SHS finishes right behind M1, then they'll have enough points, and SHS will be the champion. So it's all to play for here, Rio. How do you see this one playing out, Rio? I've got to ask you. It's an impossible question to answer, but how's this going to play out?
Yeah, I don't think I can answer that at all because they're all on the same tires. They all are very fast, and there's I don't know how many laps remaining. I can't be asking the maths, but yeah, it's gonna be very, very, very hard to call.
Just 5 laps remaining, Rio. Yeah, just 5 laps. It was an impossible question. It was an unfair one, and I couldn't answer it either. Right now, it could be. I'd say any of the top 6 drivers could win it from here. I really do. I think a mistake by 1 or 2 are coming together with 1 or 2 drivers into turn 6 in particular. I think this is really going to give us a very dramatic ending of the final race of season 2. Safety car is still out. We've just started lap 25 under the safety car. We'll just have 4 more to go after this one. We have our fingers crossed that the safety car will be in sooner rather than later. We're just coming round turn 5 here, so we've got a long lap left to do here of this circuit in Abu Dhabi. It's 5.3 kilometres long, so it's not the longest circuit on the F1 calendar, but it's one of the longer ones, and so it's going to take us a while. Hopefully the issue with Sancho Killer will be cleared very, very quickly. Drivers will be looking to conserve those soft tyres, don't put them under any stress here under the safety car, and build up their battery, so they should be at 100% when the safety car does eventually come in. We'll be looking for that safety car sign, the lights to go out very shortly, I'm hopeful, on lap 25, and we'll be able to get back underway with racing. Remember, folks, M1 just has to win. He says just has to win, but they've got to fend off Charlie Ark, SS7, SHS Predestinato, MAC-T and M Dorling here. I won't count out Desaves entirely, or Mr. Hannes. We've seen Mr. Hannes suddenly switch their car on from time to time. And then there's Emeleki back there in 9th, who would love to have a say in the final outcome of this race. And Emeleki racing SS7 for the 3rd spot in the championship will really want to move forward as quickly as they can. So safety car has not come in. So we've got another lap, Rio, under the safety car. We could potentially have a last lap dash.
It's beginning to feel a lot like Abu Dhabi 2021. It's just got that feeling to it, and if the safety car's not going in, that it definitely is going to be.
Well, we've seen M1 Righty definitely has the pace over Predestinato here today, certainly with those medium tyres they did. They were so much quicker, over a second a lap quicker than Predestinato. At the hard tyres, it was hard to tell, with Charlie Ark and SS7 there in the mix at the early stages of the race, exchanging DRS numerous times. But round 11 is going to come down to probably 2 or 3 laps only of this race. Our drivers will be binning their ERS on the main straights, desperately defending, desperately looking to overtake. I guess that's the other consideration, Toby, if I come to you, is that DRS won't be enabled probably until maybe even the last lap if we get underway now.
Yeah, definitely. It will be reliant on their skill and how much ERS they've got and how well they've conserved the tyres.
And Obo in the chat helping us out with their knowledge of the game. It's coded, Obo tells us, for the safety car to come in with 2 laps to go, and that's what's going to happen. Safety car, or 3 laps to go, so just a lap extra earlier. So we are going to get 3 laps of final racing here of round 12, and we will find out at the end of those 3 laps who our championship winner is going to be. M1 Righty now becomes the safety car, slows up the pack of cars. They are going to have the decision as to when to go. When do they go, Rio? Early or late?
Definitely going to be late for me. I think for me, yeah, definitely would be late, and also just to catch your opponent off guard. That's a good reason.
Charlie has left a little bit of a gap here to M1. We're round by the very last but one corner, so M1 really slowing them up. 3 racing laps, as David T correctly says in the chat, and M1 has blasted away, pretty much catching Charlie Ark sleeping there. SS7 was on their toes, though. They're with Charlie, and this is a great restart, it looks, Rio, for M1 Righty.
Yeah, M1 Righty definitely caught everyone off guard, and he's going to keep going until he finishes.
Another 3-second penalty for Emeleki. We've got Desaves and Mr. Hannes battling out for 7th and 8th. Desaves holding on to 7th place at the moment as they come through turn 5. And we can see Desaves being challenged by Mr. Hannes in the background there. M1 trying to pull away desperately from Charlie Ark. We've got SHS under pressure from the Ferrari of MAC-T there as well. So SHS has not managed to get onto the back of SS7 that quickly, but they are there or thereabouts. DRS not yet enabled. We will get another, I think we'll have at least one more lap before DRS is enabled. So it's all going to be on battery here, folks, if you want to get past. Let's ride on board with Predestinato as they're trying to close down on SS7. Remember, they've got two places to make up here before they can get onto the back of their championship challenger. We've got another yellow flag in Sector 3. That is Emeleki. Oh, so Emeleki may well finish outside the points. If SS7 can stay there, they will get third place in the championship. M1 Righty setting the fastest lap of the race, 123.224. That fastest lap point could be ever so crucial come the end of this race. And Rio, it really doesn't look as though SHS can get on the back of SS7.
No, it does not seem like it at all. I think SHS is trying his hardest, but all these other drivers are so they're a lot quicker than him. And I think they're overwhelming him, and I think they're putting him also under a lot of pressure as well.
SS7 is on with right now, and they're on the back of Charlie Ark, so they're staying with Charlie. They've got a podium on their mind here. First time that SS7 will have been back on the podium since I think Austria, so it's been a while for them. They'll be desperately hoping to hold on to that third. Charlie has had a great race, and M1 is out of DRS range of the Red Bull. So it's going well so far, Rio, for M1.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the telemetry for M1. He is using his ERS very, very well, and he is maintaining it, and he's very, 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 very good at, well, it seems like it, at keeping it together and not trying to use everything up.
We are about to start lap 29 of 29 as Spicy Nuts gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits. And M1 is starting their final lap of Season 2, leading the way here in Abu Dhabi. If they can hold on to that position and SHS cannot get all the way through and pass them, M1 is going to be our champion, Charlie Ark and SHS. And SHS has got through on the squabbling Red Bull and Mercedes driver. It's all happening at the back of the behind M1 Righty here. M1 is going to win the championship if they can hold on to that first place. But SHS has got all sorts of pressure here from SS7. SS7 tried to hold on to that third place. M1 is disappearing off into the distance. Charlie is trying to get through on SS7 as we go down to turn 9 here. Oh, that look like coming together, banging of wheels at least between the Red Bull driver and the Mercedes. But SS7 has hold on to third place. SHS is 2.5 seconds back from M1 Righty. Last few corners here, and M1 Righty is coming round to finish the final corners of Season 2 for Alpine, and he's going to take victory here in Abu Dhabi. And as long as we don't see any penalties come up for M1, which I definitely, and M1 wins Season 2 of G-Force Racing for Alpine and for themselves. An incredible battle with SHS Predestinato throughout the whole season, but M1 is champion of Season 2. SHS Predestinato comes home to finish in second here in Abu Dhabi and second in the championship, and SS7 comes home to finish in third, and that confirms that, unless I've got my maths desperately wrong, that M1 Righty is the G-Force Racing Elite League Championship driver. Congratulations, M1. And Rio, that's just an incredible drive from M1, not just today, but all season.
Yeah, M1, when he announced himself to the league, he was rapid, as we saw in Brazil last season. Was it Brazil last season? I can't remember.
Japan.
I think it was Japan. Okay. Yeah, he's been rapid, and it's all paid off for him now. He's won the championship. He's going to be celebrating that for a while. But he has driven so good the whole season, and just, yeah, good for the whole season.
Brilliant from M1, and that also means that our constructors champions are Alpine. They've had this nailed down for a while. The dream team of Alpine are victorious in season 2. Congratulations to them. Toby, Alpine and M1 righty, worthy winners this season, would you agree?
Definitely, they've been performing consistently, M1 being 2 races behind and still would have won even if they tied on points is very impressive, being that he lost 2 race points and SHS, I believe, won those 2 races or somewhere similar. It's very impressive that they managed to come back and win it.
Brilliant performance by both Alpine drivers who gave us some incredible racing throughout this season. But we mustn't forget the other drivers, and my thanks to David T once again, confirming that SS7 picks up 3rd place in the Drivers' Championship, leapfrogging Emelecki in the final race of the season. So commiserations to Emelecki after a great recovery in earlier races this season after a pretty slow start for them. But here's our final classification from round 12. M1 righty, our champion and fastest lap here. SHS comes home in 2nd, SS7 in 3rd. Charlie Ark, another great drive from them, finishes 4th for Red Bull. Mac T, another good drive from them, finishes in 5th. Then M Dorling for Alfa Romeo. Desafest finishes in 7th for Mercedes. Mr. Hannes in 8th for Haas. Spicy Nuts in 9th. Sam Ross in 10th. First points, I think, maybe for Sam Ross, so well done to them. Emelecki outside the points, desperately just outside the points in 11th for Aston Martin. And Sancho Killer and Ares X28 are 2 DNFs. Goodness me, Rio, we couldn't have asked for a better end to the season, could we?
Yeah, no, that was definitely the end of the season that I think a lot of people were hoping for, and it has. They've done very well. Everyone's done very well, and yeah, I just hope we can get another season, more seasons like that in the future.
And I'm just putting up on the screen, folks, some footage from last few races of the season while we close out our stream here today. To this, we've got some Jeddah, we've got some Qatar, we've got some Vegas, just for you to feast your eyes on as we summarise what we've just witnessed here today on M1 Racing with the G-Force Racing Elite League. Jeddah was a pretty cracking race. Not so good for you, Rio, sadly, but it was good to have you back out on track again. And do you fancy going back out on track next season? Or are you going to be back in the commentary box with me?
I'm definitely. I think I came up with this before I got in the commentary box tonight. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive in Jeddah every single season. So, yeah, I love Jeddah. It's definitely worth going for a drive.
Good for you.
For the race and everything.
Well, we'll be cheering you on again. We are usually very unbiased here in the M1 commentary box, but for Jeddah, when you're out there, we are cheering you on all the way. David T in the chat has been doing a few more of the calculations. Haas and McLaren have tied on points in the constructors. But because David T has 2 P2s, the McLaren's 1, Haas are getting P5 in the Constructors' Championship. So congratulations to David T, to Mr. Hannes, to Sam Ross and some other drivers who've driven for Haas this season. Great result for them also. Aston Obo is confirming stay in P3 in the Constructors' Championship. And so, Toby, good consolation for Aston Martin that they get P3 in the Constructors, even though Emelecki lost out on P3 in the Drivers.
Yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, the Constructors don't really mean much in this. But yeah, being able to beat Mercedes, even though Mercedes were beating them in Drivers, is definitely an achievement.
And what I'd like us just to close a few things with here, folks, we will probably, if I can get all my gear together, we'll do a bit of a season recap with some video and what have you. I know Rio's going to be covering a bit out on the podcast as well, but we'll try and do a stream version of that as well, because I think there's so much to talk about from this year, going back to Australia and the infamous Hannes resetting to track all the way through to the blown tyres in Qatar for the Alpines, and then the last lap dash here in Abu Dhabi. There's so much for us to cover. I've got all of the footage from the previous streams, and it wouldn't take us too long to build easy an hour or two worth of content that will be worth us talking about. So we'll try and make that happen, folks. But what I wanted to close with is some M1 awards, and we're going to vote on this live. So Rio, Toby, Pete, I've not put you on notice of this at all, but I'm just going to ask for your instinctual response here. So I'm looking for, first of all, your most improved driver of season 2. So take a moment to think about that. But who would you class as your most improved driver from season 2 of GeForce Racing Elite League? Pete, I'm going to ask you while the other boys think about this before they speak. So M. Dorling is Pete's shout for most improved driver. Toby?
Pete nicked mine.
We may well get a few votes here. Rio, who would your most improved driver be?
The same, M. Dorling.
Yeah, it's clean sweep here in the commentary box. Congratulations, M. Dorling, most improved driver of the season, and that's shown through the consistently improving results week in, week out. And I think your teammate Obo might have something to say about that come season 3. If Obo's able to drive with us, I'm sure they will. So, and maybe with baby Obo in tow with them also. Okay, so that's award number 1 goes to M. Dorling, most improved driver. Now you're really have to rack your brains, and Rio, I know you weren't with us for every single one of these races, but I'm going to ask you for the most impressive drive in a single race of season 2. Cast your minds back to all the races this year. Who would get your most impressive drive award? So Pete, I'll ask you first while the others think about their response. Unless I've lost Pete already. Has he gone? Oh, he's gone. Toby, any particular drive come to mind, your most impressive drive of the year?
I can't remember the driver, but it was definitely Guitar, where we had, I think, the AlphaTauri NRG, that was it. Him being up there without us really knowing his name that well.
So, so NRG Panzerotto, I think, is the one you're thinking of. Pete, were you back with me? Oh, so any particular race? Pete's saying M1 righty, but any particular race that stands out? Okay, he's saying this one. Yeah, and that's a pretty good shout. The pressure was right on for M1 righty today. And Rio, cast your minds back to the races you've been able to watch with us this season. Is there a particular drive that stands out for you?
I think the one where M1 returned after leaving for 2 races. I'm pretty sure which race was that?
That's a great shout. Where did... I'm just looking at the results.
Was it Vegas?
Sheet. So M1 had disappeared for a while, hadn't they? They missed a couple of races. Yeah, so we saw them in Vegas, we saw them in Qatar, and we saw them in Monza and the Netherlands. So they came, they missed Silverstone, and they missed Silverstone. But they were with us in Netherlands, Monza, Qatar, and Vegas. Monza, they won in Monza. They won the feature race in Monza, which was a very strong drive for them. So M1 sticks in the memory for Rio. For me, I'm actually going to go with Obo's suggestion in the chat, and it really sticks in my mind because it was a really clean drive, and they took advantage of the blown tyres. Yeah, you think the same? You're going to change your answer?
Yeah,
to
I'm going to
T?
change it now. I've just got back the memory back of that. It was a good race.
Yeah, and Obo's also mentioning, rightly so, Emeleki in Zandvoort, where we've got some highlights on the screen for you now, folks, from that very same race. Emeleki just judged that to perfection to take SHS Predestinato on the very last lap in the rain to take victory in Zandvoort. So some very memorable drives, but David T would certainly get my vote. He just perfected that so well in Qatar. Just very clean drive, and they took second place as a result on the podium. And David T hadn't been with us for some weeks also, so just to come straight back into the league and get on the podium, brilliant drive from them. All right, last one. Funniest moment of season 2, and there were been quite a few actually. When I've looked back at some of the highlights, there's been some cracking overtakes, but there has been some funny moments as well. So, Pete, I don't know if you've got a funny moment that sticks in your mind. Of that DRS. Rio, have you driven around this Zandvoort track very often yourself? Spicy Nuts doing the donuts in the wet. I think that was also here in Zandvoort, keeping the crowd entertained at the end of a very tough race for them. But they did it with a smile on their face. So, or maybe it was a grimace. But that's a good shout from Pete. Toby, can you think of a particularly funny moment from season 2?
Either. Oh no, it's not season 2. Maybe the Hannes incident.
Ah, yeah, the reset to track from Mr. Hannes. Yes, that's definitely sticks in the memory, and that's given us plenty of joy ever since Australia. Pretty much lived with us throughout the whole season. Rio, how about you?
Probably the Hannes reset to track thing. That's always gonna stick with me.
That's going to stick with me also because he gave me some grief. He had a bit of fun with us in the drivers' chat after Australia with that one. But I think we've had our fair share of that. And it's also, I see Mr. Hannes in the chat, also mentioning the same event. M1 Righty's got a good chat. That opening corner, turn 1 in Austria, where we had the Alpine sandwich with, I think it was Mac T in the middle of them as we started that particular race. Yeah, that was a really memorable moment for us and really set the scene for the second half of the season with just such close battles between all of them. So, M1, thanks for jumping on the stream with us here. Huge congratulations to you from all of us here at M1 Racing and in the commentary box. Brilliant drive today. The pressure was really on to come through and win it there on the final race of the season and give us a cracking race for all of us to watch. Thank you so much and for all you've done. And also congratulations to your teammate and the rest of the Alpine team to get the Constructors' Championship. Without you two being together in that team, we might have had a very different complexion to Season 2. But you've come under some significant pressure from some improving drivers of M. Dorling, SS7 back in the frame here today on the podium, Mac T, and then, of course, Charlie Ark. And we can't forget Emelecki back on the podium also this season as well. So just a cracking end to the season. So what I'm going to do is just close us out here. We are going to be back, folks, and a little teaser of what to come as we close out today. But I do want to close with some thank yous on behalf of us all here in the commentary box. Firstly, to congratulations again to our winning drivers in the championship, but also here today in Abu Dhabi, to Alpine, the Constructors, but also to Mercedes finishing second in the Constructors' Championship, and Aston Martin just hanging on to third place in the Constructors' Championship. My huge thanks to Toby for coming to join me in the commentary box in the final few races of the season. Have you enjoyed it, Toby? You're going to be back with us for future seasons in the com box?
I'll be back with you definitely for season 3, maybe not season 4 in F1 24, but who knows.
my eye was just distracted. This is SHS Predestinato in Zandvoort on old hard tyres in the wet, desperately trying to get back to the pits, and this is what opened up the championship as Emelecki came through later on in the race to win it. Just to say, there's so many highlights. Again, huge thanks also to Rio for being part of this commentary team for quite some time now, really adding an extra dimension. It's much better than just listening to my voice all the time. Rio, have you enjoyed yourself in season 2?
I've enjoyed myself in season 2 and season 1, and I think it's been really fun.
And the podcast is going to continue?
Yep, it's going to continue. After this episode, it's going to continue on just after the first race of season 3.
Brilliant, that's great. And listen out, folks, for episode 2 of that, which Rio's going to be recording after I let him go from the commentary box here today. I think SS7 is on the roster with Rio this time around, as we see a very sideways Emelecki trying to keep it on the track and trying to come through to win in Zandvoort. My thanks to David T and to also T-Man. David T for the stats, and T-Man gives us some insights before the start of some of the more recent races, and that gives us extra material to talk to you about, and also highlight stuff that we just don't all see everything of. So my thanks to David T for the amount of work he's put into the stats, and to Team Man for coming on board with the insights. Also to the FIA team, which try and keep this rowdy bunch in order. So that's Martin, Mintblock, Ace Pilot, David T, Mr. Hannes, and Team Man. Thank you for playing such a huge part in trying to keep racing in order here with the G-Force Racing League. But I think you'll all agree, folks, the quality of the racing and the fairness of the racing here, particularly in Season 2, has really gone up a level. So my congratulations to all the drivers for taking on board all the advice and giving us some clean racing week in, week out. To all of our drivers for taking part. If you would like to be part of G-Force Racing, head over to the Discord channel. If you've enjoyed watching what you've seen here today, and want to be out on this grid with these fantastic drivers, you can. There are spots available. Also our Ironman League, which runs every other Sunday. You can come and be a part of that, and you'll be able to race alongside these folks. And you can race alongside me, Rio, and Toby in the Ironman as well. Probably finish in front of all of us, but it's a lot of fun. Head over to the Discord server, contact SS7, and get yourself signed up for any remaining seats that are out there. Are just a handful. But if you think you could come and have a go with these folks, please do. My final thanks is to all of you, our viewers, for coming and turning up every week to watch us here on M1 Racing. You helped us become an affiliate this year. Our number of followers has continued to grow. We hope you enjoy being with us on a Wednesday and on a Sunday. And we've got more of this to come. I mustn't go before I thank also Pete, which you don't hear. And at some point, I'm going to get him to come on audio and say something intelligible, because it's always intelligible when I hear it from him. But he keeps such a close eye on everything else that goes on that allows us to jump to these close battles that you're seeing in Qatar here, and we hopefully don't miss a beat. So huge thanks for Pete. He's been with me since Race 1, Season 1. I can't thank you enough. So thank you, Pete, for being here. So final words from the team before we let you go and give you a taster of what's to come. Rio, any final thoughts from you as you prepare for your podcast?
Probably just quite a lot. Quite a lot. But I think just because the fun and the entertainment of the season and everything. So yeah.
Brilliant, Rio. Thanks ever so much for being here. Toby, any final words from you?
Just great racing in general.
It really was. And I look forward to more in Season 3. And Season 3 is indeed coming. I think we've got a 2-week break, and we will be back on a Wednesday night, 8 p.m. UK time on M1 Racing to bring you Season 3 of G-Force Racing. And we're going to play you out with our new trailer video for Season 3, if I can find my cursor. Thank you to Mr. Hannes, who's just subscribed to the channel. Thank you ever so much for your support. We look forward to seeing you back out on track in Season 3 also. Thanks all for being here. We look forward to seeing you again on M1 Racing for another cracking round of the G-Force Racing Elite League. Until then, we'll stay safe, and we'll see you very, very soon. Bye for now. Now we've got 3 cars wide. And Maxie's trying to get down the inside of him, Dorling. They're going to do it. Great switch back from him, one there.